March 25, 2008, a group of students, educators, policymakers, and community members from the central coast of California embarked on a trip to Europe. They traveled to England, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, and Sweden to learn about smart energy solutions. The group visited model cities that exhibited global best practices for sustainability in the following areas: renewable energy, innovative transportation, green building, smart growth, energy efficiency, and conservation. The group sought out these locations to be able to bring back some of the lessons and ideas to the United States.
Climate change is the single most important issue for human society, and you can be confused by it. We'll try and sort out your confusion. If you're in denial about it, we want to help you break through that. If you're skeptical, well, frankly, you're going to have to do a little bit of work on that. And if you're bored, well, let's try and make it interesting. A lot of that is about innovation, giving people a really positive image of the future. A low-carbon economy could be absolutely wonderful. Let's get out there and sell it. But we need infrastructure. We want people to be able to live low-carbon lives without them even noticing they're doing it. So we need smart energy. We need efficient energy, renewables, we need good transport, housing, all that stuff. But there's one missing piece. We need actually people engaged with this. You can have all the policy you like, and if people don't buy in, then it tends to sit on the shelf. It goes.
England has 2% renewable energy, and so that's a big deficit in what they're emphasizing. But they're planning on building a 1 gigawatt wind farm within the next 5 years, I think.
People don't really drive too much because it's very expensive. They have these things called congestion zones, which basically from 7 a.m. in the morning till 6 p.m. you are charged to drive in certain parts of the city, the congestion zones. And if you don't have a certain permit, then you'll get your picture taken and have a ticket sent straight to your door.
And we also got to see Bedset, a development that was a pragmatic approach to trying to apply zero energy, zero waste, and it's been somewhat successful. But really, it was the pioneer of trying to do, the all-inclusive, localized community development.
The biggest difference is the acceptance and awareness level, just the general population. Kind of noticing the street ads and conversations with people, there doesn't seem to be much skepticism or doubt in the fact that aggressive action on climate change.
And it's typically that environmental is not considered, but now with the turnover that's happening in Europe, it's a solid. In fact, it's mainstream. It's the #1 priority for the European Commission is combat climate change.
Wow. The eco-innovation was very exciting because they have 45 million euro expenditure where they can apply. A local agency, it has to be 5 to 10 agencies that will apply for this program. And so the idea is that you can inspire innovation on a broad range and not have to control all of it, but you set them out with a good groundwork and give them the financial backing to be a successful group.
On the ferry to Samso Island.
Better hope we don't hit an iceberg, man.
It's not so bad.
It was crazy.
The Island project was a project sent out by the Danish Minister of Energy and Environment. They wanted to have a demonstration project where we were going to prove that you in 10 years could develop a 100% renewable energy conversion in a community. And the community had to be an independent municipality, which Samsø was and still is. So we took on this project and sent in a proposal for the competition, and we won it. So we won the honor of being the Danish renewable energy island.
Probably the biggest thing that sticks with me is Samsø and those farmers, and that pride that they had in those windmills. And I have a feeling that's going to really sit and root with me for a long time. And it's like there's something in that was so critical that these farmers, I loved when our guide went and said, they walk up and they knock on it and say, yes, this is good. You know, I'll buy this.
Here we're making some wind turbines. These are about 1 megawatt wind turbines, and they produce energy 24/7.
Each individual, even if you didn't have a dime, you could go to the bank and say, I'd like to buy a share in the wind turbine. And they yes, sign here and stamped, and then you just hand over the certificate to the bank, and when it was paid off, it was yours. So actually with no money you could also get involved in the project. But still it was a good idea that nobody was left out in this project. You didn't have to be a millionaire to be involved. You could just sign a piece of paper saying, I'm also part of this project.
So how many shareholders in
450.
450.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've seen here is the community effort to come together and bring about these changes in how they consume energy. And I think there's a real distinction that can be made between places here in Scandinavia and the American way of doing things. Here it's much more of a community-based effort. You know, everybody can help each other. Everyone does better when everyone does better. And here, what great success you can have when people come together and work towards a common goal. It's remarkable, and I think that we can really learn something as Americans coming into this kind of a society where people are willing and able to put together their resources and make wonderful things happen.
Malmo did not take any actions towards sustainability. The people would be very upset and they'd demand it. But on the other hand, they don't give the city credit for what they have been doing, and they take it for granted. So he said the city itself gets no benefit, it gets no rewards from doing the action. But he said ever since climate change has come to be the top priority, then things are changing, and the public is more energized and is demanding that there's action in sustainability. I think we're hearing that across Europe. I think that's happening. We heard it at the European Union Commission. We heard it in London that now climate change is #1 priority. So it's creating a demand by the general public, and it's also creating incentives for government to take action. So I think
So actually you have, for this still quite small area, this will be heavily populated when it's finished, but still quite small area, have a very good bus traffic. Put in the buses from the beginning, make it easy to live without a car.
Yeah. Do this, and probably we will have to push the companies to say that if you are going to establish your company here, you have to pay for car sharing system. You have to promote. You have to do all these things, because we will not provide parking space for your employees and all that. We will not allow that. So we're pushing cars down and trying to push everything else out.
We actually created about 8,000 meters of new bike lanes just to connect this area, and I'm talking about separate bike lanes. Just to connect this area to the citizens.
We're on the European Smart Energy Tour in Malmo, Sweden, and we are looking at one of their solar installations on one of their campuses. Behind me are a bunch of solar thermal tubes for hot water. They use solar vacuum tubes, which are much more efficient, and they produce hotter water than regular solar glazed panels. They also have a huge solar voltaic installation on government buildings. 70% of the cost is subsidized, so there's a huge incentive in that market for government buildings and universities to actually install solar and change over to renewable energies instead of using the natural gas that comes from the North Sea or the traditional means of heating and cooling their houses.
What educational methods do you use to reach the residents?
Yeah, in the beginning, the water and waste department actually knocked every single door in this area and talked to everyone. Do you understand the recycling system of the area? Do you know how you should do? And for example, when it comes to the food, you're gonna put it into these small paper bags with wax on the inside to keep it moist. So everyone introduced the paper bags to them. Do you know where you can get your new paper bags and how to use it, and so for waste incineration.
So it's in the common interest for
It is a common
everyone.
interest, yes.
That's
But
big.
Here in Malmo, Sweden, at the Sustainable City, and just a couple things of interest that I wanted to talk about. This building behind me, one of the very interesting features is its food collection system. It's the waste disposal in the sink. It uses a vacuum system to suck out the food, and then it's collected in a central place. That food is then taken and used for biogas production, and the biogas is used to power the local buses. So really interesting closed loop idea there that I think we might be able to take back and make use of.
This trip was sort of, every day I felt like I was on a little bipolar roller coaster. I would go to some place and I would get really, really excited and I would think all these things are amazing, and then suddenly it hit me that, oh my gosh, we're not doing any of these things, and I'd freak out that we have all this work to do. And then I'd think, oh wait, we can do all of this, and I'd get really excited.
There's an innate sense of trust that they seem to have, and so the big question with that was, what does that look like? What would that look like in the United States, and how would one build trust? I mean, I think it first has to start with awareness that there is a situation here that we all want to get behind, but I see, you know, so it's building trust in us as citizens to make a difference.
And this whole notion of, I have my things to do, and I don't need to do it all. And so I just want to like know what my part of the quilt is, and that this is a patchwork quilt, and so there's part of it's like letting go of ego, because part of my ego is like, well, I want to be the solution, I want to be on the team that wins the race, and it's like, it's not how it is with this, you know, it's a dance party, and you know, and I want to be able to dance my little piece and not be invested in being the, you know, superstar or something like that. And I think with America and Europe, it's the same thing. It's like America has a piece, and so does Denmark, and so does Sweden. And
Thank you.